there we have it, a reality that we are facing in the country right now, and we're joined for Property Speaking as usual on Thursdays. Philip Skuman, broker and owner of REMAX in studio. Really good morning, Philip. How are you doing?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
Thank you for joining us. Complexion did a great job just painting the picture of our reality as we know it. Not that we needed him to come and reiterate, but it's okay. So, Philip, with what we're facing, is there a way, when buying a house, to sort of like test drive your budget and see if you can somehow afford inflated rates, even though you can't quite anticipate, well, we can anticipate, but we don't know how the future is going to look like. No. Is it possible to sort of like test drive to see if really you can do this or not?
I think let's start off with, because I want to answer your question, but before I answer your question, I want to create some context first.
Okay.
So I think one thing I find is that most of the market tends to take a reactive approach towards interest rates instead of a proactive approach.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, and largely anybody that studied economy will agree with me, that the economy is a game, okay? The better you understand the rules, the more likely you are to be successful to navigate it, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you have looked at the interest rates for the past 40 years, you would have seen we averaged at 16.
Okay.
We are now at 11.75. You get what I'm saying? Why are we complaining? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. When the interest rates dropped post-COVID, it went to 7.75, which is very low. Mm-hmm. And the government did that to stimulate the economy so that we would buy more, okay? And that worked. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people bought a lot of houses. Sure. And it inflated the risk because, or the prices, because now there's higher demand. It's a supply and demand thing. So you need to understand the broader economy. Now, when you took out a loan 3 years ago, just post-COVID, when interest rates dropped, you would have, for R1 million bond, paid about 7.5, something like that. Mm-hmm. Before COVID, it was 10 grand for $1 million. Mm-hmm. Currently, we're just over 10 grand for $1 million. So I would have said, if you took a proactive approach when the interest rates dropped, you would have known that you were actually benefiting. Okay? You should see that time frame where you were paying lower interest rates as a score. Okay, and then when they are back to normal, you see it as normal rates, because your calculations for investment was based on normal rates. Worst case scenario. Sure. Okay. So you scored for 3 years. And this is, if you are a proactive investor, you would have planned this, and you would not be shocked as much right now. You would have just had more money because you planned for this before. A lot of people fell into were able to purchase property when the interest rates dropped, and therefore that stimulated the market quite a bit. Now those people, they could not actually afford it at the normal rate. And just because the rate dropped, they were able to afford. Okay, and so they basically, those people set themselves up for failure if they didn't plan ahead. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Sure. So yes, in 3 years a lot can change. What I would say, once you were able to purchase this property now 3 years ago because of the drop in interest rate, now you only qualify. Cool. What you should have done is then finished off all of your small rats and mice loans. Okay, those things that, you know, the Bible speaks of, is that it's a claim jackals is very vulnerable for it.
Yeah, the little jackals.
It's the little jackals, you know. Sure. We've got to kill those credit cards and overdrafts and stuff that chows a lot of interest in short terms. Okay, home loans is a good type of credit. Okay, if we utilize it properly. And if we plan it properly. So this is why I would always suggest speaking to not any real estate agent, a qualified real estate agent, somebody that knows the market, that knows these things, somebody that's not necessarily looking to get a sale from you. You know, we have a principle within our office, and we always say, you know, sometimes a client is not your client, okay? And you're going to tell them you can't sell because you can't afford it, and you're going to be worse off when you sell or when you buy or whatever. Sometimes we have to give this advice. Sure. Not all real estate agents give this advice. We firmly believe that I can't set you up in something that you can't afford, because it's just going to bite me later. Not through you, but another client. The karma sort of way.
Sure.
And the same way, if you do good for clients, the right clients will end up at you anyway. You know, and that's what we try and focus on. So we always got to look at your portfolio. We've got to look at the broader spectrum. You've got to find an agent that has some understanding.
Yeah, if I couldn't find that agent who is understanding, and here I am right now, I mean, an extra 8K is a lot of money, and I can't keep up with the repayments. What are my options?
Okay, so your options then are to, if you don't have any access stuff that you can sell that is not worth it, like a car, and I'm going to say this, sell the third car or the second car, finish the game account, get rid of the stuff you don't need. If you've done that and you still can't afford your bond, I would dare to say that you wouldn't have qualified it for it in the first place. But if you still can't afford your bond after all of this, and you revamping your financial situation from a rats and mice point of view, and you've done this and you still can't afford it, then I would say contact the bank, let them know. Don't stay quiet. Because once you stay quiet, they start stressing, and then they start putting you into a legal process. There's a lot that needs to happen in terms of them communicating with you first before they can just take your house. So there's a whole process when it comes to losing your home, okay? And that's a lengthy process. By the time you actually lose the house, you would have stabilized, or you could have stabilized if you looked at your financial portfolio proactively instead of reactively. And I just want to expand on that quickly as well. If you look at most people, when the interest rate goes up, all they say to you is now things are going to get more expensive.
Yeah.
And when the interest rate goes down, it's like, yes, it's exciting. Everything's going to be cheaper. You've breathed 1 month and then you've sort of made space for that extra money already. It's because of your financial discipline. You get what I'm saying? If you were financially disciplined, you would have cut the rats and mice, put that extra money into your bond, because it's a savings account. It's called home loan amortization. We've spoken about it. It's a good way to save. And if you've done this, you are not as prone to knocks. And you can stabilize quite quicker. You get back on your horse a lot quicker, because we all take knocks. But if you've planned properly, and that's what it comes down to. And a lot of people, like I said, they react. They're not proactive, and that is setting yourself up for failure. You've got to have a decent understanding, everyone, of financial and economics to a base of, I think it's a course that needs to be taught in the trick.
There we go. I agree with you. But thank you so much, Philip, for actually coming and always educating us for free about property. We appreciate your time. Philip Skuman,
Always a pleasure.
broker and owner of REMAX.
Thanks, guys.